Hello, guys, he says, clearing his throat. Again, not massively prepared today. Running around, getting prepared for a trip to Barcelona this weekend. Not on holiday, I'm going there for MWC, which is the Mobile World Congress, which is like the world's biggest mobile device conference thing. I'm very excited about that, but it does mean, as always, I have to rush around getting stuff done in time to leave, including reviewing the phone for the people that I'm going to this thing with, which has been a bit of a rush. And again, in the interests of, I don't know why I'm holding this for, in the interests of giving you this behind the scenes look at what goes on at Mark Ellis Reviews Towers, we don't always get these devices for, it's not Friday hour, and I'll come on to that in a second. I don't think it's Friday, maybe it is, who knows. In the interest of being transparent with you guys about how this stuff works behind the scenes as far as I can, we don't always get along with certain devices, particularly if they are embargoed. And that isn't the fault of the brand, it's just because they don't have a huge number of these devices to give out, and they can't give them out too far in advance because they're under embargo. You're not supposed to see them yet, which is why I need to hide that over there. But it does mean that I've had to really knuckle down and get this review done, which has been fun to do. Apart from the A-roll shoot, which I've just done, which took forever, and I've got a real problem with A-roll at the minute. Again, I'll use this as an outlet just to moan about it and use you guys as a bit of a leaning post for this. But A-roll, I'm finding really tricky at the minute, and I think I've spoken about this before in the past. Insofar as I found that the bigger the channel's got, and the more this has become the only thing that I do, and it's been a really a business that is growing really nicely, and I'm getting more people on board and all this sort of stuff. I found the A-roll shooting process really tricky, which makes no sense whatsoever when you consider that I'm sitting here now doing the exact same thing. So what I was doing a moment ago was sitting in this seat, looking at the camera, talking about a smartphone, reviewing a smartphone, and I was doing take after take after take, and I'm not having to do that now. I'm just talking, and I hope it's coming across okay. I'm not worried about it, basically. So I find this fascinating to the point where I feel like I need to get some advice on what it is that I'm struggling with. I also know that I'm not alone with this. If you speak to a lot of people behind the scenes who do this thing professionally or have achieved some success when it comes to content, a lot of people have the same problem. It's something to do with, it's got nothing to do with the camera, because the camera is on now, it's pointing at me. That, like I say, the entire setup is as it was half an hour ago when I was struggling through this A-roll. But there's something about when I'm filming a video that I know is going to be edited and put in front of a pretty big audience, hopefully, I seem to struggle. I don't know what it is. I think it's putting too much pressure on myself. I don't know. I watched a couple of my old videos, a couple of clips of my old videos a little while ago, recently, and I just watched them and thought, you clearly didn't care as much back then. Not in a bad way, in a good way. You clearly didn't give two you-know-whats about it. You just got on with it. Because the performances weren't as polished as they are now, because I do edit the videos a fair amount to make it make sense. I think, well, how do I get back to that? And then you think, well, maybe I was like that because the channel was smaller. It's a real head scratcher, to be honest. If any of you guys have experienced this or are experiencing this, let me know. Let's talk about it. This isn't the topic I was intending on talking about today whatsoever. I'll get to that in a moment. As always, I'm not going to look at the comments section yet. I want to go to your Q&As very shortly, well, after I've done my little preamble stuff, but fill the chat window with your questions. I'm not going to look at them now, like I say, because I get distracted. I know what I'm like, but please fill it with questions about anything that I do, anything you've thought about recently, and things that may come into question about what I'm about to talk about. The other thing, two more things to mention. One is that the Creator Academy, we are now into module 4, I think it is, or 5, I can't quite remember. We're at stage 2, which is talking about platforms. So we're talking about your website, Medium, Substack, YouTube, you name it. You can still sign up to the Creator Academy. It's not closing. The registrations will be open for the foreseeable future. You have just missed the first Q&A, which went really well. That was a really good session. But it's there. You can sign up and get involved still. The other thing to mention, as Aaron just noticed, it's not Friday. At least, is it Friday? I thought it was Wednesday earlier. It's not Wednesday either. It's not Wednesday. and it's not Friday, it's Thursday. And I'm going to try doing these live streams on Thursdays now. It's been Fridays for the last few months, but as great as that has been, and we get a fairly decent audience, I just get the feeling that this time slot might be better for people. It's not the end of the week, so you don't get the Friday feeling, obviously, but you get the Thursday feeling, which is sometimes better. Is it? I don't know. I think this is a better time because you're not having to finish for the week and just wanting to get home, depending on where you are in the world, obviously. I just think this is better, personally. Let me know what you think, but we will run with it like this for a little while now, just to see how we get on. Anyway, quick coffee, which is very apt given what I'm about to talk about. I want to talk about coffee and straws and, pick it up properly, Vision Pro, if I can say it properly. So this is Apple's headset. This is... we recorded the 8 or 16 podcast earlier, and I said to Rob during that recording that this is the first tech product I've had for... Let me try. What was the last product like this that I felt like this about? I genuinely can't remember what it was, but this is the first tech product in a long, long time that I'm excited about. I want to keep using. I wake up in the morning and think, ooh, I can use Vision Pro. I can get to know it and find out its foibles and the good things about it and the potential and the stuff that's missing and all that sort of stuff, and work out how to tell a story about it. I've not experienced that about any product for a long, long time. This isn't just another new smartphone or a MacBook or a whatever. It's something completely new. I mean, look at it. It does look a bit like a pair of ski goggles, I completely admit, but and it's massively flawed, hugely flawed, but equally has just a very interesting story in terms of what this could mean for the future of computing. And some of the stuff it does is mind-bending. There's no two ways about it. And equally, it's very expensive, and it's not for the mass market, and it's not even over here in the UK yet. I had to import this from the US. Basically, it's a really interesting product to talk about. So you might wonder, well, you might ask the question then, why on earth is the comment section in my video about this yesterday, which is the second video I've made about Vision Pro, why is the comments flooded with people talking about coffee and straws and tilting your head back? Now, if you haven't seen that video, go and check it out. Not now, wait obviously until this is finished. I'll put a link in the description so you can see, you can get to it. I was going to try and play a bit of it now, but I can't share for some reason. StreamYard won't let me share the other window. It's complicated. But anyway, the intro to yesterday's Vision Pro video, it has me sitting here with this mug of coffee, wearing Vision Pro, and I go through this process of walking into frame, sitting down, and then basically putting this on my head and connecting the battery pack and putting that in my pocket and all the normal stuff that you have to do to get working with this. Now, did I embellish it? Not really. A little bit. There's a few little comedic, not even funny, but a couple of little things I put in there, like trying to find, once I had the headset on, feeling around for the battery pack. That was a bit of acting. It was just there, obviously. But the rest of it, in terms of having trouble flicking the cord over my neck, behind my back rather, and fitting it, and then all the rest of it, that was all completely genuine. The other thing that was completely genuine was trying to drink from a mug of coffee. Let me demonstrate again for you. I won't bother plugging it all in, so I'm doing this blind actually, which is a bit worrying, because when this is turned off, you can't see through it, obviously. So this could be really funny. So let's put the headset on. God, I really cannot see anything. This is what happens when you try and drink a lovely, hot, that's important, mug of coffee through Vision Pro. Not through Vision. Don't do it through Vision Pro. Wearing Vision Pro. Don't know if you can hear that, but I got a sip then, actually. I did get a little sip. It hits the bottom of this, and I've since learned that this is a common challenge with VR stuff, with VR headsets. Basically, there isn't a VR headset on the planet which allows you to drink a mug of coffee normally or a cup of tea normally. So I thought, and this has been one of the biggest surprises for me, and the reason it's a surprise is because it threw me. The first morning I had this, I thought, right, let's sit in my kitchen as normal, make my coffee, sit down at the desk, put Vision Pro on, connect it to my Mac so I can take my Mac screen and put it in this virtual environment and work on there. Brilliant, got all set up, and then went and did that. Picked up my coffee and it hit the bottom of the Vision Pro. It completely stopped me in my tracks because I suddenly thought, hang on a minute, that motion, which is completely ingrained, I've done that for, how old am I now? I'm 43 now. So let's say I've been drinking coffee. Let's just say, for argument's sake, I've been drinking coffee for 30 years. Probably not, but let's say 25 years. For 25 years, that has been ingrained into what I do. It's just muscle memory, and this isn't unusual. A lot of people do this. So suddenly I had this thing on my face which prevents that really ingrained action from taking place. And to me, that's really interesting. It's not a fault of Vision Pro at all. It's just physics. You can't do it. But to me, that's really interesting because that paints a much bigger story of the fact that this ain't ready for the prime time yet. Because, okay, that is a first world problem. It's a thing that you can get around. There are ways around it. Not straws, though. Not a quick question, actually, for the comments, for the chat. Would you ever drink a hot beverage? And I mean like a cup of tea or a hot... We do drink hot coffee in the UK because we're stupid. But would you drink a hot drink through a straw? I wouldn't. That's really weird. You're not weird if you do it. That's not fair. To me, it seems very strange. Anyway, but it's just... I realised suddenly that is such an interesting point along this journey of trying to work out if Vision Pro is ready for mass consumption yet, and it's not. And that's just a great example of why a really normal thing that you can't do anymore. You have to adapt the way you drink your coffee, which is fundamental to human life, isn't it? It's mine anyway. So I put that skit into the start of the video, and it was a risk because that normally this is my what I call the hook, and the hook is generally the thing at the start of the video. Mine are normally 4 or 5 seconds long, sometimes much shorter, and the idea, as the name suggests, is that you hook the viewers in like that. Can't click my fingers. There we go. You hook them in straight away, and then hopefully you've got them. You have to deliver on the promise that you set in the hook, but that's a problem for another day. So my hooks are normally, like I say, 5 seconds maximum. This one was 1 minute and 33 seconds, really long, and to the point where I really had to think twice about putting it in. I edited a couple of versions of it, one that was completely cut down and chopped up, and I thought, no, that's not natural. I want to give it an idea of what it's like to put Vision Pro on and drink a cup of coffee, and that does take a minute and a half, clearly. So I left it in, and it was a risk, given that these days, the attention spans, thanks to TikTok and Instagram, are just down there. But thus far, it doesn't seem to have kind of damaged the average view duration. The average view duration of that video is actually above average, so that's nice. And going back to this skit thing, so I called it a skit a moment ago. If you want to get into YouTube and you want to be successful and you want to do the one thing that the algorithm really likes, which is incite engagement in the comments, you need to learn and work out how to fit in what we call skits or gags into your videos. And these can be a whole number of things. Every video that I publish on Marketless Reviews has some form of gag in there. It's not always that obvious. Sometimes it is obvious. When I remember when they announced Vision Pro last year, I can't think what video it was. I think it was a pair of headphones or something I was reviewing. But the intro or the hook rather had me walking across the studio towards the camera wearing a pair of sunglasses and tripping over a bag, and that was a reference to Vision Pro, which not everyone got, obviously, but a few people did, and a few people commented. I'm still getting comments occasionally about that video now. Other very classic tricks that I definitely haven't invented are things like, if you're sharing your desktop screen on your computer, have a folder that's named something like, Donald Trump's secret files or something. Stuff like that, which is obviously fictitious, but people spot it and they talk about it. That is what this was all about. The coffee thing was to get people talking. I knew it would. I knew it would annoy people who are used to VR and know that this is just a thing that happens with VR. And equally, I knew that some people just wouldn't like it. And I knew that some people may find it slightly amusing. Because it was slightly amusing. You'd hopefully raise a wry smile watching that. So all of those things together, you should get people talking. And boy, did it work. But it's almost gone the other way. I won't read out all the comments, 'cause some of them aren't even fit for broadcast, but most of them are saying things like, "Oh, you idiot, why don't you just, have you never heard of a straw? You know, you can tilt your neck back. You've got a neck, haven't you? Straw, have you ever heard of straws?" About 1 million comments about straws, which I still don't understand. I would never drink a hot coffee through a straw, but that's a personal thing. They've really gone for it. And I've also put a short form version of this on TikTok and Instagram. Instagram has done okay in terms of views, but on TikTok it's just gone off the charts, as always is the case with those kind of videos. And the comments on there are even more hilarious, basically. So if you want to go and check them out, please do. But it really has gone almost the other way, to the point where ironically, the point I was trying to make with that coffee skit has been lost, because people are just talking about coffee now, and the fact that you can't, you should, if you want to drink your coffee, lift up your VR headset, all this stuff. So that's kind of drowned out the narrative a little bit, which is a shame. But it's a risk. This is one of those things, I can't control what people put in the comments. I can just encourage them to say something, and it's up to them what they say, obviously. And 9 times out of 10 it works pretty well. It's debatable whether or not it's worked well. Not because I feel daft for having done it. I don't. I genuinely, I'm proud of that video. I just wonder. It's just a shame that some people have taken it quite so seriously. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you because it's been a very interesting 24 hours. Quick slurp of coffee. But what amazes me actually is that these skits, these gags and things that I put into videos, people always react to them, always. Not sometimes loads of people do, like in this case, and sometimes they don't. And equally, sometimes you don't have to put them in. You know, certain topics, certain videos will incite comments anyway. So if for instance, in tech, if you publish a video that's, Android phone versus iPhone, you don't have to do much at all. In fact, you could probably just have 8 minutes of the phones next to each other, and people would still pick fights with each other in the comments. So there are certain topics which, kind of incite commentary and lots of engagement anyway. But normally you do have to do something, and that was an example of something which I very purposefully put into the video. And it sort of worked and sort of hasn't worked. It's really interesting. But go and check out the comments of that video if you haven't done already. I think the solution to this is finding that balance between taking extracting the Michael, as we say in this country, about a topic, but also having a serious point, which is what I was trying to do. And maybe I didn't quite get the balance right. I don't know. But I had fun making the video. I think it's a decent video. I'm proud of it. I don't care, really. But it's just an interesting thing, isn't it? Right, guys. We are a little bit behind time now. Are we behind or ahead of time? I have no idea. It's been a long week already. We haven't got a huge number of people phoning in, I nearly said. Huge number of people tuning in, which ironically goes against everything I said at the start of this live stream, which was that Thursdays seem to bring in bigger crowds. But the people who matter are here. Aaron's here. Who else is here? Let's give me a little comment in the... Oh, Travis is here. Any other people that are in the building? Put your hand up here. Where are you? Where are you? That's who's that a quote from? That's a very, very uniquely British reference there. To do with football and a certain TV personality, chef personality. All over the place this week, you can probably tell. Travis, what are you saying? As a South African, I can pick up your humour. Oh, that's reassuring. I do often wonder how much of my British humour translates to other countries. I think some countries do have a problem with it. They don't always get it, which I totally understand. This is a very much a regional thing. British people do tend to have... We have quite dry, self-effacing humour, and that doesn't always translate very well across borders, which sometimes is hilarious. It does result in some very, very funny commentary in the comments. But equally, sometimes jokes just don't land at all. Most of my videos are a bit tongue-in-cheek, really. I've always been like this. I find... My girlfriend always laughs at me because she thinks I take life almost too not seriously. Does that make sense? I do not take life seriously at all. I think life is hilarious. The things we do, the things we worry about. I count myself in this as well. It makes me laugh. I think it's very funny. Serious things happen in life. Obviously, I've had some very serious things happen in my life, but equally, the stuff always works itself out, and that's why I don't take it too seriously. I particularly don't take tech too seriously, because it's tech, and it's not worth getting upset about. And as I always say, it's not worth setting your trousers on fire about, but people do, and that's funny. But it's nice to hear, Travis, that, like you say, in South Africa, for you at least, you can pick up on the humour. Oh, but you live in Switzerland. I didn't spot that, and can imagine how a German speaker, where's the rest of that, would not catch it. German viewers, I don't know. I've got nothing to reference with that. I don't know if they find the stuff that I do lightly amusing or not. Maybe they don't. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like I say, humour, regional humour doesn't always translate. Where are you? That's a Blink-182 reference. It's not actually. It's a reference to, like I say, a TV chef personality in the UK. This is very niche, and I think we have got a couple of UK-based people here. It's Where Are You is, I'll say it, Delia Smith, who is involved with Norwich Football Club. I think is she the owner? Possibly, I don't know. But there's a clip of her ages ago. I don't think I'll get in trouble for this. She won't be watching this. She enters she gets onto the pitch at half time when they're losing. Her team are losing terribly, and she grabs the mic from the PA guy and starts shouting, "Where are you?" to the fans. And Chris Moyles, who's a DJ in the UK who I've listened to for years, he always plays that clip for some reason. I don't know why. It's very old. But the reason it's funny is because she's had a few sherbets. She's a few sheets close to the wind, as they say, and quite a few sheets actually, and it's just very, very funny. Just Google Delia Smith, "Where Are You?" and you'll find it. What on earth am I talking about? It's not even Friday. What will I be talking about tomorrow? It's Friday tomorrow. Did Vision Pro hurt your cheeks? Yes, it really does. Yeah, so I did a live stream with this on the reviews channel on Monday night, I think it was. And I wore it for the entire live stream, and the live stream went on for 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I really wanted to take it off by that point. It was really uncomfortable. The problem that I have with it is my cheekbones here. I can feel it. I can actually feel where it's been, and my nose as well. And yes, I have spent ages fitting it. I'm using this dual loop band thing, which just works for my head. I think most people have been using that. So it's not that, and it's getting a bit more comfortable the more I use it. But it's heavy. It's really heavy. Lost that one. Oh yeah. Derby. So Aaron, you're in Derby, I think, aren't you? But given the rain, I wouldn't be surprised if we floated to somewhere different. Funny enough, Aaron, you were mentioned by a chap who is, I don't think he's on here, is he? Johan, who's on the Creator Academy. He mentioned you, said some very nice things about you during the Q&A. So yeah, just thought I'd let you know. Given the rain, it's pouring down with rain here as well. It's horrible. I wouldn't be surprised if we floated to somewhere different. It's a terrible, terrible day, weather-wise. How much content do you think you can get out of Vision Pro? This is a really good question. Do you see it as a recurring video with new updates? Right. I think I know that the wave of interest in Vision Pro has come and gone. I think it probably went just before I got this, but I knew that would be the case. I knew I wouldn't catch that first wave of interest and searchability that this thing had, so that didn't bother me at all. I fully expected the first bunch of content about this to perform okay. Now the first video is, I think at the minute, a 5 or 6 out of 10. When it first started, I think the highest it went was a 4 out of 10. This is in YouTube Studio, which means it was the 4th best performing video out of the last 10 videos after that point in time. That was surprising, actually. I was expecting at the back of my mind. At the back of my mind, I was thinking this is going to be an 8 or 9, possibly a 10. This could be really bad, but it wasn't. It went off the gates quite quickly, but it did have a very sharp peak and quite a harsh fall off, and it is slipping back now. That's not, again, I'm not surprised by that. Yesterday's video. Let's have a look. Where's that now in the chart? The chart of how bad you are as a YouTuber. It is. Refresh very quickly. 7 out of 10 after almost exactly a day of being published. So it's had nearly 7,000 views, 373 likes, and 182 comments, 180 of which are about coffee, but there we go. So I think the wave has definitely gone. I think the interest in this was only ever going to be very short for the time being. The one thing on the horizon which is interesting is when it gets launched in the UK, in Canada, the rest of the world. In theory, that should raise the interest again because there'll be a big launch around it. You'll get a lot more people in the UK picking it up and talking about it, and search traffic will increase. So the fact that I have some content in the bag already, that's good. I see that as evergreen content, really, because the first video that I made about this was a kind of unboxing / first impressions thing. So people may want to see that before they spend their hard-earned money on it. And because I'm British and it's clearly, we've done some SEO on the title and stuff to make sure it's quite, it mentions the UK and what have you. That may help, may not. It's a punt. All of this stuff is a risk, but that's this is a business and we have to take risks. I'm glad, I don't regret getting it at all. I think, as I've said, I'm in this for the long run. I see this. The best way to compare this in terms of content, this isn't, let's say, the S24 Ultra. So the S24 Ultra I've bought, and that I'll probably make in total during its lifespan, in terms of being around for a year before the next one comes out, I'll probably make maximum 4 videos about that, I think, because there's no need to make any more about it. And I don't want to get pigeonholed as the S24 Ultra channel, which can happen. And if that happens, you struggle to get views on other stuff because you have this wave of Android, Samsung people coming over. I've seen that happen to other creators. It's very hard to get out of. So for me, 4 videos for the S24 Ultra is about right. This isn't that at all. This is much more like, I think the best way to compare, or the best thing to compare it with, is the 24-inch M1 iMac, which is just over there. I bought that in 2021, so it's, where are we? It's 3 years old. And I've used it, but I've not used it a huge amount. I've basically, it got quite a bit of use in the kitchen at home for a while, and that's it. The only other things I've used it for is to create content, and it's featured in loads of videos. It may still feature in other videos, and this thing, like I say, is 2-3 years old. It's really knocking on in terms of tech age, but it's paid for itself again and again in terms of views. So in terms of non-monetary stuff, it's helped build the channel, build the audience that I'm looking for, but equally it's been involved in videos that have had very good sponsorships, affiliate stuff come out of them, decent AdSense revenue. I've paid for that thing several times over. That is what I'm expecting from this, but probably over a longer period of time, because Apple isn't going to iterate this that quickly, I don't think. I think during WWDC they'll do some stuff around Vision OS. At that point it would make sense to get onto the beta of it and do some content around that. It's also worth bearing in mind that I'm not just making videos about this. I am publishing blog posts about it. So on markellisreviews.com, on my Medium profile, short form stuff, that will take precedence now over the long form videos, which I will stop with for a while until the UK launch happens. So yeah, in terms of your question, Aaron, it's going to be a recurring thing. It's going to feature as time goes on. But I'm in this for the long run. I want to see what Apple does with this. I'll get the second version. I'll get the cheaper one if that ever arrives soon, maybe not soon, but in relative terms. I'm in this for the long run. Apple is telling us this is the next era of computing. That's pretty much what they're saying. So I'm holding Tim to that. Basically, I want to know where it goes. I want to see where it goes. Colebox, new viewer here. Welcome on board, Colebox. I hope I've said that correctly. Based in Dartford, another UK person. Are we going to start seeing people in coffee shops with straws using Vision Pros like MacBook users? No, I don't think we are. There's some very questionable content out there in terms of people walking around I mentioned this yesterday on Instagram. There's a guy, I won't say who he is, but there's a guy on YouTube who published a video, I think this week, of him riding around London on an e-bike, I think, like one of those little e-bike things, wearing Vision Pro, doing his deliveries. So I think he was like an Uber delivery driver or something. And riding around London on a bike, which is just about the most dangerous thing you can do, because your peripheral vision on this is like that. You can bet it's a really narrow field of view, believe it or not. It's not made. Apple doesn't say at any point you can get on your bike and cycle around with it. It's so dangerous. So in answer to your question, I know you're not suggesting that, by the way, at Colbox, but I think it's very much an at-home thing at the moment. The world isn't ready for this, really, apart from content creators going out and doing weird things with them. Coffee shops, it's going to take a long time. Complete guess, I would say at least 3 or 4 years before we start seeing that kind of thing happening relatively, until we start going into a coffee shop and there'll be at least one person in there wearing something like this. We're 3 or 4 years away from that, I think, personally. And you realise why when you get one. You have to kind of have this to fully appreciate why that's the case. Another slurp of coffee, which I can't stop thinking about coffee through straws now. It's almost ruined my coffee experience. I hope I get over this. Excuse me. Travis, I totally ignored your advice and swapped my 14-inch for a 16-inch MacBook Pro M1 Pro. Caveat, I don't move it around much. Since I got it, I barely connect it to my studio display. Display is fire. Yeah, it's if you're not moving around much, Travis, you've done the right thing. It's a wonderful laptop, that. I still miss mine a bit. Hands up, I do. I've got in front of me now is the 14-inch M3 MacBook Pro. I've still got the 16-inch. I cannot sell it for love nor money. If you know anyone in the UK, I'll do it here. Why not? We've tried mentioning it on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook Marketplace, which is just full of absolute tire kickers and scammers. Total waste of time. We've tried it everywhere apart from eBay, and I don't want to put it on eBay. I hate eBay. We can't sell it. I don't know why. If you know anyone who wants a brilliant M1 Max stacked out, apart from the RAM, it's got a 32 gig of RAM, but stacked out chip, M1 Max, very good condition, bar a tiny nick on the casing, which happened during a piece of content, so a bit of interest there. Everything else about it is great condition. If you know anyone, just let me know. UK, I've priced it to clear. Just get in touch. It's £2,000. You can have it for £2,000 in the UK plus delivery. There you go. If anyone knows anyone, please pass on that detail. Going back to your point, Travis. Now I've stopped using this live stream as a Friday ad. You've done the right thing. If you're not, this is turning into a tech conversation now, isn't it? If you are not moving around much, the 16-inch MacBook Pro is a beast of a machine. Enjoy. Any content-related questions, guys? Anything about what I've talked about today in terms of these skits and things? Do you ever notice skits? Do you, when you're watching YouTube videos, do you spot stuff that creators are doing and think, that was clever? I do, because I don't always, but because I do this stuff myself, I do spot them. I do get inspired by them. Any skits and things that you've noticed? M1 prices have tanked. Oh, great. I just want to get rid of it. Really want to get rid of it. So you pay £1,200. Wow, okay. Mine is a bit of a better, I don't want to make you feel bad, but mine is a bit of a better spec than that. So it must be worth a bit more than that, but who knows? Who knows? We don't have to talk about my second-hand selling woes. Who cares? Any questions, guys, about content creation? Hit me with them. Or anything about this business. Or nothing about Vision Pro. We've had enough of this now, I think, haven't we? Or unless you've got questions about the content I've made about this, because even that's interesting. The way that you film yourself with this and film the experience of it is quite a challenge. You can share the display. Well, you can't share that. You can record the display, so you can do like a screen recording. But it looks weird because it's kind of jangling around, and that's not what it looks like inside the headset. Everything is in place and pretty static. But and also you can't see the depth one of the most impressive things about Vision Pro is that depth, it's impossible. I can't show you that on camera. Absolutely impossible. You have to have this on your face to see that, and that's kind of one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest wow things about Vision Pro, and it's why I understand Apple is doing these 30-minute demonstrations at the store, because that is when they're going to get you, and hopefully for them get you to part with your money. But yeah, content-wise, it's quite a challenge making these videos interesting, which is why I did that coffee thing. I had to try and make it funny, and me walking into doors and tripping up the stairs and stuff. It was all stupid. Me playing the drums. There's me playing the drums and mishitting the crash symbol, all that sort of stuff, which has nothing to do with Vision Pro, but it hopefully makes the video a little bit more watchable. 24-hour Vision Pro. No. I don't get it. That, again, it's not meant for that. And I mean, this is an interesting topic because it does kind of touch on content creation and, making content just to get views, because I doubt Luke is going to want to do that all the time. And equally, just like the walking around town wearing it and riding your bike wearing it, it's not built for that, and it's actually quite dangerous. I'd guess wearing it for 24 hours probably isn't dangerous, but it's not great for your health, I don't think. One of the first things you see when you put this on is a message saying, it's written throughout the instruction book, which is take breaks, take regular breaks. If you are moving around in your little space at home, be careful. And you get that with all VR stuff, don't you? There's very much a health and safety aspect to these things. So creating content about it to get the views and get the interest, I understand. We all do it. But with this, there's a safety element. I can't believe I sound like I'm not normally like this at all about this sort of stuff. But yeah, there is an element of this which does bother me. I've never cared about AR/VR, but all of this Vision Pro content has got me intrigued. And since I can't get a Vision Pro, I'll probably buy a MetaQuest. So Vision Pro is definitely lifting the whole sector of the market. I think it is. And again, this is very much content related, very much content industry related. We need interesting stuff to talk about in this industry, guys, because it can get a bit stale. Another smartphone is another smartphone. Okay, you might get a foldable smartphone, which is a bit more interesting. But I don't relish smartphone reviews. I enjoy doing them, don't get me wrong. I want to keep doing them, but I don't relish them as much as I'm relishing covering something completely brand new. That's the honest truth. Same thing with laptops. What can you say about it? When the M4 MacBook Pro comes out, what on earth am I going to say about that? There's not much to say apart from offer buying guidance. So this isn't about buying guidance. This is about talking about a brand new piece of tech. And I think what you said here, Travis, is definitely the case for a lot of people. I think a lot of viewers and consumers of this content are just intrigued, got no interest in buying it, perhaps can't afford it, or live in a country where you can't physically buy it. Just even the people who can afford it are probably watching this thinking, is there any point in me parting with that cash for this? Is there really? And they'd much rather, understandably, watch someone else go through that process, which is partly why I imported this. I knew it would be a bit of a game and quite expensive to get it over here. That is all part of the story, so it's all part. It adds to that. All like I say, the narrative behind this. Someone asked me recently if I would have bought this if I wasn't running this channel, running the Mark Ellis Reviews channel. No, I wouldn't, not in a million years. Way too expensive, way too much money, and I certainly wouldn't have imported it like I have done. And even when it comes out in the UK, I'd have to really have a good reason to buy one if I wasn't doing this. I think I would. I think it's okay. It's easy to say this now, but I think I would land on the decision not to spend that money. I've got a small child at home. We've got bills like everyone else. I'd have to really justify that. I don't think I could. I would be interested in the word content. Everyone uses it now in Germany for texts, videos, audios. For me, it still sounds odd. What about the word in English? We call it content as well. So you text, video, audio. Yeah, same thing over here. I mean, I've been using the word content for a number of years. Before this business, I used to work in marketing. I've worked in sales and all sorts of things. But when I really got into marketing, which was probably 2012, 2013, something like that, about 10 years ago, I very quickly picked up on content being the buzzword, really. And I'd always been interested in making content myself before that. I'd always been blogging and making mini films, movie making and stuff, and semi-pro photography, all that kind of thing. And so I was aware that it was content, it was collectively content, but when I started doing it professionally, it very quickly became obvious that content is the word. So I think it's the same in over here as it is in Germany. I think we it sounds odd. It doesn't sound odd to me because it's just what I do, I suppose. But if you're not working within this industry, and if you don't work in marketing, for instance, then or media, then you probably I can see why it might sound odd. I think it's here to stay, though. Keep doing the skits. There are so many tech/Apple YouTubers, but for the viewer, they have to be entertaining too. So many tech videos are just too dry. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I never say anything bad about other channels because I know how hard this is, and equally, I know that my style is definitely not for everyone, and the people that you may be referring to there, we won't mention any names. They may not be your cup of tea. They may not be my cup of tea, but they are someone's cup of tea, and they've found their niche. They've found their sub niche, as we call it in the academy. They've nailed it basically. So I think the best thing about this industry is that there's such a wide range of creators that you can follow, and again, if you're looking to get into this stuff, it's reassuring because it means you can be yourself, and it means if you are yourself on camera or behind the keyboard or behind the mic or whatever you're doing, then the right people will resonate with that, and they can connect with you on that, and that's your tribe, that's your audience. So but no, I appreciate the kind words. I won't stop doing the skits. I have to do them for me personally because like I say, I can't make videos where I just sit here and ramble onto the camera, and I've done that. If you go back into my archives, most of my videos used to be that, just sat in the same place all the time, talking to camera. And to be fair, it's how I built the audience, a lot of the audience. But personally, I just couldn't keep doing that. I'd go mad. I'd literally go a bit mad. Worse than that, I'd get bored of the content I'm making, and if that happens, why are you doing it? It's my business. I can do what on earth what I like with it. Basically, I can do with it as I please. And I'm doing these skits and things because I find them fun. They're fun to set up as well. The thing where I was running into the door. And if you haven't seen the video from yesterday, this will make no sense. But there's a clip where I run into the kitchen door while wearing Vision Pro and pretending to do stuff with it. I did that about 10 times and hurt myself each time, and I'd set up just behind me on the floor some cushions to fall onto. Still kept hurting myself regardless of that, and it never quite looked right. And even the one that I've put on there, it's not. When you do stuff like this, you realise how brilliantly talented proper comedians are. The ones who do this kind of physical comedy, they are just geniuses, and clearly that there's something they've got that I haven't when it comes to personal safety, because they just hurt themselves. But yeah, there was that, and then the bit when I walk up the stairs and fall over, again, cushions on the floor, did that 2 or 3 times. The bit where I'm playing the drums, did that, several takes of that. I always think when I'm doing that stuff, now, particularly if I'm doing it downstairs, there are windows downstairs, so if you walk past, you could potentially see me prattling about, basically. I often think, if anyone looks in this window now, there's a guy walking around wearing what looks like ski goggles, and even if you knew what Vision Pro was, and you walked past this place in the UK and thought, there's a guy in there where is that Vision Pro? Why is he running into the door? What's going on? Fascinates me if anyone's ever seen me do that stuff. But anyway, it's fun, isn't it? Life's fun. It just is. Fish Finger Reaper's in the house. Hello, Fish Finger Reaper, my favourite YouTube handle of all time. Right, another slurp of coffee. We're getting near the end for anyone who's stayed on this long. You're a tech journalist? I did not know that. Making content for me sounds too much seen from the perspective of the platforms. They need content for selling ads around it. That's interesting that you take that kind of you got that view of it. being a journalist. And I can see why. I do encounter a lot of journalists in this job, because when we do these press trips, which I've done quite a few of now, I did quite a lot of them last year. I've got one coming up this weekend, which is the one in Barcelona at Mobile World Congress. If you go with a brand, so if the brand pays for your flight and they put you up in a hotel and they feed you and do some launch stuff with you and all the rest of it, it's not just you. Obviously, there's a bunch of you, and it's normally a bunch of YouTubers like myself and a few others, and a bunch of journalists, traditional journalists writing, normally freelancers working for big tech publications like The Verge and all those guys, and they're two very different types of people. Obviously, I'm in the YouTube part of it. Both lovely sets of people. We all get on. There's no trouble at all, obviously. And it's very interesting talking to one another. But there's a difference between journalists and the YouTube crowd, and it's not that one is better than the other or one is more experienced or whatever. Although arguably, traditional journalism has been around a lot longer than YouTubering. But I know there's a difference between the two of us, and that is probably why you think like this, I guess. I kind of know what you mean as well when you say from the perspective of the platforms. Content for platforms is stock. If you think about YouTube, videos are stock for them. They take as much of it as possible, chuck it into their archives, and like you say, they sell ads around it. That's their business model, and it works incredibly well for them, and it can work very well for the creators as well. But yeah, I get what you're saying with that. Still thinking of getting a Quest 3. Potentially, although I might have someone now who's willing to work with me on this, because they have a Quest 3, and we think there could be a bit of a mutual thing that we could do in terms of helping each other out. So it's probably inevitable. The reason I'm a little bit reticent to do it is because of what I've said a moment ago, which is the fact that I think the interest levels in Vision Pro at the moment are waning a little bit. So whether or not it would make sense to wait for the UK launch of this when the interest increases again to do that comparison, I don't know. Having said that, I might hit a spell where I've perhaps got a spare video slot in March or April, which would make sense to just try out that comparison. So I think it is going to happen. I'm just not sure when. I need to do it. Need to do it at roughly the right time. They originally were on Thursday, right? I think better. What's this to do with Thursday, Travis? I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Do you mean the live streams? I don't know. But journalism has literally forever revolved around securing sponsorship. Oh, we're getting into some interesting stuff here, aren't we? I can feel a little debate about to take place in the chat section. Has journalism always been about sponsorship? That's an interesting... in fairness, I know a little bit about this because I've got a very good friend who worked in the press for a long time. I did some work experience there as well, actually, which is a long time ago, and not a reason to have any kind of experience in it whatsoever. But I know it fairly well because I've got a very good friend in that industry. And newspapers are they're a very different thing these days, but they were traditionally sold, weren't they? And you'd have ads in them, but a lot of the revenue would come from the sale of the papers. Same thing with magazines, but again, they're full of ads as well. It's not far off that, is it? Maybe it is all the same. Who knows? Whoop and Ultra. Yeah, I've got the Whoop on, and I've got my Apple Watch Ultra. I got this at Christmas because I wanted to try this for a year. Again, I did it for 3 months when I reviewed it, which was interesting, but not really long enough to get a proper feel for it. So I want to increase my sleep, and it's helping. It's already helping with that. I think I will be doing a kind of a year-long review of this at the end of the year to recap on what I've learned. But it's been really interesting. Right, guys, we are coming towards the end now, I'm afraid. Any last questions? Where's my water? See, I do have a bottle with a straw built into it, so this is Vision Pro friendly, which is nice. That journalist / YouTube thing is quite interesting. That feels like that might be a future Substack post, maybe, or a future debate we could have on here. Very interesting. It would be nice actually to get, if I probably can actually get a fellow tech journalist on. I could do this, couldn't I? I could get them on this live stream. That's an interesting point, actually. It's always just been me sat here. I can bring other people into this. Who, again, if you're watching this now, or if you're watching this in the future, thank you, by the way. Hit subscribe if you fancy it. Let me know who you'd like to see join me on this live stream. Why don't we do that? Why don't I try and get a tech journo on? I might this weekend, actually, after a few Spanish beers, I might try and coax one of them into it. It shouldn't take long to coax them into it at all, actually, because I'm sure they'd want to come on and chat to you guys. But yeah, let me know, who else would you want me to get on here side by side to bring into this conversation and just have a chat? I think that could be quite interesting. I've only just had that idea. There you go. That's why it's worth doing this stuff. Guys, I'm going to sign off now. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully this Thursday time works. We will run with it for a bit, see how it goes. Thoughts on that are always appreciated. And thanks, as always, for taking an interest in what I do. I love doing these live streams. They're one of my favourite times of the week. Get random subscribers to zoom in and try not to get cancelled. Ooh, that's tempting and not tempting at the same time, isn't it? I could just open it up to TikTok. That would be a laugh. I think I'd last 10 seconds if that happened. I'll give it some thought, Travis. But yeah, let me know who you want to see on this live stream. We'll get some guests on. Let's start doing that. That'd be great. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll catch you next week again on Thursday. I'm going to end the stream now. Wave goodbye. And yeah, see you next week. Cheers.